You would think this might be the greatest film of all time, wouldn't you? Clint Eastwood in the late 60s, paired with Richard Burton, possibly the most watchable actor of all time. And Eastwood, he's not far from that claim. How could this go wrong? Eastwood and Burton, espionage into Nazi-controlled Europe, into the Alps, rescuing a scientist. Oh my, general, like, this is going to be one of the coolest films ever made. It is to a point, but it's all that concept. It's not like Brian G. Hutton is he's no Anthony Mann. He's not even John Sturges. I wish we had a really charismatic and interesting, even a Don Siegel type, to direct this film, because they just shoot the action, and like you can only go so wrong with Where Eagles Dare, obviously, but it's played as safely as its premise could be played. The screenplay has some twists and turns toward the end, which are a bit. I wouldn't say they were a bit over the top, but they're like, geez, is espionage like a very complicated, more complicated than soap opera love triangles? You know, this is ridiculous. Nevertheless, it's a well staged film, a very able production, fine cinematography. In any case, at least the fourth or fifth, there's been two Dune films, of the films that we've talked about on FOTD that have an Iron Maiden song based off of them. Well, obviously in the case of Dune, it was the original source novel, but, you know. I will say, there's a certain suspension of disbelief that is kind of disintegrated for me during the last quarter of the film. I didn't notice Eastwood reloading his gun once. He gunned down like 20 Nazis that kept coming at him around the corner like they're stormtroopers on the Death Star, you know? But he did not reload once, and I'm thinking, like, hang on, like, I mean, to the film's credit, he gets shot a couple times and then he's limping. I mean, he's out of commission for basically the last 15 minutes of the film, and Richard Burton's trying to fight some traitors on a, carry car going down the Alps. It's a very good sequence, possibly the film's greatest. Where Eagles Dare could have been the greatest film of all time by certain criteria, by simply fulfilling Clint Eastwood of Richard Burton, battling Nazis. It kind of, I guess, is the greatest film of all time. It's just also kind of isn't, There's a despair in there, the world on paper versus how we actually feel once we experience it. Actually, there are certain things that were as good as one hoped them to be on paper, or better, but I guess besides the point. I have to be honest, I don't think Where Eagles Dare is one of them, and I think subconsciously we all agree. We all think it's a very good or entertaining film, but there's a certain part of me that would think, prior to having seen it, wait a minute, Clint Eastwood and Richard Burton collaborated in a film where they're killing Nazis? Like, how is this not, like, how did I not hear about this in the IMDb Top 250 or something way back when? Why is this not being talked about? Where's this in the issue pictures? The fact is, like, we all know it's like a very good and very above average action romp, World War II fare. But it's not The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's not even The Spy Who Came In From the Cold by Martin Ribb, which is a fantastic film, actually, while we're on Richard Burton. It's no Nicholas Ray's Bit of Victory while we're on Richard Burton. Might not even be Dirty Harry in terms of impressibility and rewatchability. And Dirty Harry has some pretty somewhat ghastly politics. I mean, I only say that partly because you watch Magnum Force and they're just walking it all back, I'm not trying to make a finger wag here. I'm just, look how they reacted in the sequel. They're like, oh, no, we didn't actually mean that. But Where Eagles Dare, good movie. Just, it's just a movie, and it's good, Forget hype. Hype has been really, really detrimental to the film community. We've made certain films seem so potentially, life-changing that they could never fulfill expectations, and we've also used hype trains to make certain films seem really amazing and interesting and beloved by everyone, when in actuality, we look at it in like a year, or even a couple of months after it came out, or in my case, we barely skim through it, you try to stay away from it, and it's just some garbage known as Avengers Infinity War or something, right? And hey, I'm just to be clear, I'm not bashing on MCU just on the bandwagon. I like Marvel Comics. I liked it prior to Iron Man 2008 even coming out. I knew who he was. I was quite young. I was like 12, but I knew who Iron Man was prior to having seen that film. It was kind of cool, wasn't it? I really dug Avengers 2012 when it came out. It started to lose me afterward. Iron Man 3, Civil War. Ultron was okay. Still a Joss Whedon there. It's not as good, but it was okay. I kind of like it. Just garbage. Point I'm trying to make is it's easier to appreciate films in hindsight. People aren't wrong when they say hindsight is 2020. I think it's because we see a film for what it was going for, rather than what we wanted it to be, what we kind of would magic want it to be. We don't see it as someone's work or something that's trying to be or accomplish something or other. We see it as a alright movie, entertain me, in the more recent context, versus oh hey, look, this is something from 1990 something or 2000 and something. What's going on here? Where Eagles Dare, recommended. Though I'll say I'll never forget feeling a bit let down by this film at 16. I mean, I did enjoy it, like it overall. I guess wanted it to be the greatest film ever, and it just wasn't. But don't expect the greatest film ever, and you'll think it's awesome. Expect the greatest film ever, and you'll think it's fairly good overall. It's a weird thing. In any case, watch Where Eagles Dare. It's far better than this review. That's for certain, actually.